for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
And welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Año de Oso, Year of the Bear. Could this be 2021? Question mark? 254-339-1122. Call us or text us with your thoughts today. I crunched some numbers last night. Opening statement from Andrew. Andrew, when you think about 2021 as a whole, men's national championship this season, what Baylor put together across the board, not only that, women making it to the Elite Eight. I'm looking at men's tennis going to the national championship. Women's tennis had a really, really good year that ended in Waco hosting a regional. You put all that together. I mean, it's tough to argue there being a better athletic year out there. You, from the sounds of it, you like 2021 to be the year of the Bear.
Well, I actually love 2021 to be the year of the Bear, and here's why. Men's national championship, how many times has that been done in school history? 0. Also, men's tennis team infatuated me. I watched them all the way to the finals. I mean, they were a couple games away. You know, what are you going to do? And also, 2021 being the year of the Bear also helps my previous take about Baylor making a bowl game, because the 2021 football season has not happened yet, and I think this is going to be the best football season in recent years. So I think 2021, the calendar year, is going to be the best year in Baylor sports.
So you're taking Year of the Bear and turning it from a school year into, so you're going technicality,
year.
recusing the fall because of COVID, and taking next fall as your Year of the Bear fall.
Correct. 2021.
That in turn would probably forfeit volleyball from your argument, and soccer, which might help you. Soccer had a down year.
That might help us a lot.
So I want to throw out some numbers here, and I know Jack McKenzie has some really good thoughts on this as well. Not to be confused with Jared McKenzie, but he's got great take on the Year of the Bear and what makes 2021 so solid of a candidate to be Year of the Bear. Here are the numbers that I wanted to throw out for you today on what I've crunched last night. 2020-2021, 2 national championships. Acrobatics and tumbling took their 17th in a row. Baylor men's basketball won it all in Indianapolis this past year.
Oh, yeah.
Baylor volleyball made it all the way to the Sweet 16. Great season for them. Another Sweet 16, pretty rare in program history. They're building something with Ryan McGuire. Men's tennis has a record amount of wins this season on their season and goes to the national title game against Florida. Unbelievable run through the postseason as well. That's you hang your head on that. 15 of the 19 teams, there are 19 possible teams that could have done it, made the postseason this season for Baylor. 7 top 16 finishes in 2021. 4 Elite Eights across Baylor athletics. Men's national championship. Women's basketball goes to the Elite Eight.
They should have went further, that call, whatever.
Jared Butler is the player of the tournament in the NCAA postseason from March Madness and takes it all. Soccer didn't make the postseason. Men's golf kind of dudded out late in the year. Track and field was just okay. Cross country wasn't great. Those are some of the sports that really won't be mentioned.
Right.
But I tallied everything together. So what I thought about this is that you can't go on the metric of wins and losses. If I took all 10 teams, if I took the top 10 teams from 2011, 2012, compare with those same 10 teams for this year, put together their combined record, well, it would be so different because so many teams played so fewer games this season because of COVID. So I said, all right, that would be unfair. I'm going to use a little metric of my own to adjust the win-loss records of every team. So volleyball this season goes from 20-7 to 25-9 to better reflect what it would be like in a normal season.
Love it.
Football goes from 2-7 to
5-7,
4-8.
Well, you would have won the out-of-conference games. No?
Houston could have beat Baylor.
Oh, I think we would have played Ole Miss too.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll go a generous 4-8.
A generous 4-8. Men's basketball, 35-3 is my adjusted
undefeated,
record.
Actually,
they were
should be.
They were 28-2 this year,
well,
so I adjusted to
COVID.
35-3.
I would say undefeated, whatever.
But yeah, 40-0 would be almost impossible, and this Baylor team wouldn't have gone undefeated without COVID. I don't think so. Okay. Women's basketball, 28-3, adjusted to 34-5. Men's tennis, no adjustment. They won the most games in program history. They played 40. So women's tennis adjusted to 28-7. Soccer, 8-6-3. I mean, just down the list, all of these. And baseball, I'm going to have them. They're 31-18. I estimate they'll play 8 more games, which is probably generous, and they'll be 36-21. And then softball, 27-23. I adjusted them to 31-28.
It's probably fair. I like those numbers. Also, I just want 2 things that I remembered whilst you were talking, just that I want to slide in. Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler are going to be first-round picks. That's important for the national brand. And also, the monumental upset of Baylor Equestrian taking down the juggernaut that is Auburn. Add that to the list because that was an all-time. That was a victory for the ages. I don't care what we placed in that tournament. That was a victory for the ages. The 8v1, huge win for the program.
That is maybe the greatest upset in equestrian history.
In equestrian history.
And it ran and it ran through Baylor this year.
Correct.
And it ran through Baylor. Sweetbriar ain't got nothing on Baylor Equestrian.
Nothing.
You can take that to the bank.
Oh, yeah.
With your horse. 2011, 2012. So those are the high points. Have we missed anything from this season? I mean, is there anything else that I'm not thinking about that we may have not put in here?
Baseball winning the College World Series.
Baseball winning the College World Series, probably not. Marquise? Akira Nugent.
Oh, and the pole vaulter.
And yes, Casey Lightfoot and Akira Nugent.
There you go.
So Casey Lightfoot going to be an All-American, and then Akira Nugent, a freshman Akira Nugent.
Mind you, yep.
Putting together unbelievable numbers on the track. So
I mean,
world record, you said? World record?
Yeah, world record.
World record for Akira Nugent.
2 world records from Baylor program. I mean, you said track and field, not a great season.
Well, as
Adjust
a team,
that.
Team season.
All right.
Adjust that. Let's put in Akira Nugent's world record, and that makes it. So those are the numbers I crunched from 2020, 21. Comparison. The year of the Bear that folks talk about, 2011, 2012. All 19 teams made the postseason. Not 14 out of 19, not 15 out of 19. All 19 teams, compared to 15 out of 19 this year, made the postseason. Women's basketball went 40-0, won a national championship, swept the season in what I would argue is the greatest season in sports history across the board. 76 Dolphins, that wild Mariners year where they won like 118 games and then just didn't win in the postseason.
2011 Patriots.
2007 Patriots.
27.
I mean,
I don't
even
want
though
to
they
talk about
lost.
it. Yeah, whatever.
40-0, though, that is astronomical in the game of basketball. It is what I think to be the greatest year in sports history.
But who's to say that wouldn't have happened this year without COVID? I think the men's team could have went undefeated. They really could have. The two COVID games that we lost could have happened.
I don't think so. I don't think you can adjust the men's team to be 40-0, especially with like Kentucky. I think Kentucky was better than Baylor in 2015, and they ended up losing. They ended up going 38-1. So
I mean, we can't go rewrite history, but I'm just saying, considering all the success these sports teams had during COVID, are we going to factor that into the year of the Bear at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm adjusting their records and giving them more wins.
You're right, yeah.
Like 7 more wins and 1 more loss for most of these teams.
All right, good.
2012, football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball. Okay? Football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball. Here are their win totals. Football won 10 games in a bowl game. They won the Alamo Bowl against Washington, like 78-74. It was stupid high score. It was a basketball game. Men's basketball won 30 games and went to the Elite Eight. Women's basketball won 40 games and went to the national championship and won it against Notre Dame. Baseball won 49 games, hosted a super regional where they lost to Arkansas, right there on the cusp of possibly going to the College World Series. They were an out away from the College World Series in 2012. That combined, the combined record of the top 4 sports, the big 4 sports, 129 wins and 28 losses. That's factoring 2 basketball teams, a baseball team, and football in, and 28 losses. A baseball team. Most baseball teams lose 20 games. That's pretty standard for a lot of baseball programs.
Yeah, I would say the Achilles heel of my year of the Bear is the football program, because the football program is easily the most watched, easily the most attended.
Texas.
It's just, I mean, that's how it is. Friday Night Lights, you grow up in that kind of atmosphere. And so, winning 2 games, the adjusted 4 games, regardless, not making a bowl game is definitely the Achilles heel. Even if I think we had more success in spring sports, which sounds like we may have not, but I mean, you got to factor in the equestrian upset. But yeah, the football team is a huge. That's why if I could take in the 2021 football team, that would definitely bolster my argument.
Yeah, I mean, if you could, then that would be. But if you could take in the 2013 football team into this argument, you got a Big 12 championship.
This is true.
So I got some more. Brittany Griner, number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft. Brittany Griner, number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft, and leads that Baylor team to 40-0. A bowl win for football. Equestrian wins a national championship. This guy right here, this guy, Andrew Robertson, big equestrian guy. They won a national title. You've got each of the big 4 ended their season ranked. Women's basketball, number 1. football number 12, men's basketball end of the season number 8, baseball number 9. Combined records. So here's where I make my bet. I've got all the records of all the top 10 programs from that season. 252 wins and 89 losses from the top 10 programs. This season, adjusted record, 207 wins and 93 losses. So you've got a win differential of 45 games. We bring Jack McKenzie into the conversation because he's passionate about this one.
So my argument is much worse now, given that men's tennis sadly couldn't bring home the national championship. But at the end of the day, postseason's great. How many championships do we bring home?
2.
See, my entire argument is based on my pain as a Packers fan, a Green Bay Packers fan.
Okay.
The number of NFC championships we have reached and failed to even make the Super Bowl has hurt me. Frankly, it scarred me. So I am more concerned, success-wise, about bringing home the natty, bringing home the trophy. And at the end of the day, if men's tennis had won, bringing home a trophy in men's basketball, acro and tumbling, and men's tennis, I think that's super successful. And I'd really think that would have changed this whole conversation. I can't really say I think we without that tennis trophy, it's better than the year of the Bear, but that would have really made it tough for me to say that the year of the Bear is actually better, because 3 national championships in 1 year, that would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been huge. I want to know, for you, does football's lack of success, because that's a problem for a lot of people when you talk year of the Bear. The year of the Bear, RG3 won the Heisman, Baylor went to the Alamo Bowl and won a bowl game. This year, 2-7 really tanks. Say 4-8. I think Baylor football could have ended up 4-8. That really tanks your conversation when your revenue sport, your bell cow sport, doesn't win at the level of that 2012 year the Bear team did.
It really does hurt, but I think you can't consistently ask for a program like Baylor with a new coach. If we hadn't been in the spot we were in, I'd say, yeah, that's a terrible year, and that's something that we can't necessarily forgive in this conversation. But even without COVID, with it just being a new coach's first year, I think that there's some leeway there. And frankly, I know we're in Texas, but not every school can be amazing at football every year in Texas. So you take what you get, and frankly, I'll take a national championship over just making the Big 12 title game in a decent bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, I would take a men's basketball national championship over
a lot of
losing a Big 12 championship football game and going to the Sugar Bowl. I would absolutely trade a Sugar Bowl loss, a Big 12 title loss for men's basketball.
I don't think that's really that hot of a take for anyone out there, so. But
hopefully not.
Football definitely hurts, and definitely hurts the argument too. But I just don't think it. I don't think it all balances out in the end.
If I'm putting gauges on the national championship victories from both those seasons, so both years equated to a combined 4 national championships, 2 in each. Acrobatics and tumbling and equestrian being the small sport championships, equestrian in 2012, acrobatics and tumbling this year. And then women's basketball winning it in what, again, I think is one of, if not the greatest seasons in sports history at 40-0.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing.
If I've got to go scale of 1 to 10, the significance of those national championships, I'm giving equestrian in 2012 a 2 out of 10. Anything that's not an NCAA sport gets below a 5, just automatically. Acrobatics and tumbling, 3 out of 10. So we've now gauged A&T's a little bit bigger, and that's because there are about 40 A&T teams now building up to. Equestrian has 12.
On top of that, making it 6 in a row, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Women's basketball, I give a 7 out of 10. I would typically give that a 5 or a 6 out of 10, but the 40-0 significance, I thought 7 out of 10 was pretty fair for them. Men's basketball championship being a 9 out of 10. The only thing bigger than that, 10 out of 10 football. That's the apex of collegiate achievement. So that factored in, you've got 9 out of 20 possible national championship points from 2012 and 12 out of 20 from this year's national championships runs. I think combined, this year's national championships were bigger. The apex of Baylor athletics in 2021 was larger than it was in 2012. I don't think that can be argued.
I still think it's insane that all 19 varsity sports in the year of the Bear made the postseason. For someone who wants to say that this year has been so amazing, the year of the Bear was crazy.
a complete body of work. If you're taking this argument to a complete body of work, you've got to look at the fact that like you said, 19 postseasons, 19 teams. I mean, you can typically have your teams are good, solid success, but to have that many programs that make it all the way. You know, Texas Tech, I look at a school like Texas Tech, they have won one national championship on the men's side in history, in anything, and it was in track and field in 2018. I mean, that's just, they are lucky for half of their teams to make the postseason most years.
Did Texas Tech not win like 12 straight meat packing NCAA championships?
Meat packing?
There's like a sport in Texas Tech. It's like meat judging, I want to say. And they've won like 11 straight. Someone back me up on this.
Yeah, Armstrong's nodding. What?
I can't remember the exact sport, but he's correct.
I'm 100% sure.
Like some kind of meat something. It has to do with like
something with meat. And
animal meat.
Okay.
Search it up.
Real quick, I want to see the tortilla tossing national championships between like Texas Tech, Baylor. You know, I think that'd be a good time.
Jack makes an astute observation here that who gives a flying flip? What is it?
Yeah, Texas Tech claimed its second straight and 15th overall national crown in its home state by winning the High Plains Intercollegiate Meat Judging Contest, the national championship. Yeah, I mean, they're 15-time national champion meat judgers. That's Texas Tech for you.
I guess I can't argue with that. Where I was going with that is the fact that track was the first time they won an NCAA national championship. So I look at a school like that and think, okay, they are so meteoric. There are so many teams. You're just like, you are flipping mediocre at everything. I mean, making the postseason itself in a handful of your sports is an achievement. To do it in 19, that success that eclipses the entirety of the athletics department, knowing that 2020, 2021 has been a nuts year. I mean, this has been a really good year for Baylor athletics. I wholeheartedly believe had Baylor played out last season's athletic year, it would have likely been better than 2012. I don't think that could have been argued. Had men's basketball won a national championship, I don't think they would have. I think men's basketball was primed for an Elite Eight Final Four run. I think women's basketball...
I think Final Four.
Women's basketball probably would have gone to the Final Four as well. And there, if you're watching, is the Texas Tech Meat Science Department. Undefeated national champion meat judging team. Never lost. First team in history of meat judging to go 7-0.
Well, hey, if they can find me a good rack of ribs, I'm not going to be too mad about it.
Hashtag meat judging. Hashtag 2017 meats. Oh, God. Yep, so I stand corrected.
God, I love Texas.
Texas Tech, as my dad just texted me. Meat judging is not athletic. Thanks, Dad.
Hey.
Watch it.
Look at these
Excuse me,
specimens.
you don't know the type of
these
practice
specimens.
it takes to win 7 straight
Meat
matches?
judging competitions? Yeah.
Is it matches?
Yeah, it's
Is it
tough.
First team in meat judging
competitions?
history goes 7-0, guys.
How do you beat that? It's tough to beat that in the meat judging world. But in the NCAA athletic world,
It hasn't been done.
It's tough to win with a target on your back. You know?
how do you eclipse what Texas Tech has done in meat judging?
Undefeated.
Oh my gosh, how did I overlook that? How in this conversation did I overlook that? But it's 2019, 2020 to me would have been the year of the Bear. I think that is fair.
Sports Illustrated.
Honestly, I
No
got to
way.
agree with you.
They're the Alabama football of collegiate meat judging, says Sports Illustrated.
I mean, you
That
gotta
is an
Sorry.
atrocity.
I keep
greatness.
That is an
totally
atrocity.
putting this conversation off the rails. I'm sorry.
The meat judging guys, Texas Tech, 2019, 2020 for football. You got the you go Big 12 championship. Then you go from that into Sugar Bowl. Volleyball goes to the Final Four. Men's and women's basketball are going to win 35 games each.
men are going to the Final Four.
Yeah, baseball swept the Shriners Classic SEC teams. Soccer was kind of mediocre, but that's okay. Softball was on a really good trajectory when they ended their season. I mean, if that year finishes out, I really thought, and I asked a lot of people, Jerry Hill being included, is this the year of the Baylor? I said, oh, yeah. You know, I mean, last year would have been it.
Yeah, and honestly, I just want to take a second and be like, so happy that the last 2 years we've been able to have, like, say these years are in the conversation. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we've had 2 separate years where we're like, man, we can rival like the original year of the Bear on these. It's a fun time to be a Bear.
That was supposed to be untouched. The year of the Bear, 2011, 2012, was supposed to be untouched. It was the blip in Baylor athletic history where it's like, okay, hopefully we can sustain this, but there's just not a way to have that kind of athletic prowess. And granted, it might not ever happen again. 19 varsity teams in the postseason is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Baylor's meatpacking team even made the postseason that year. Wow. Too bad they're not varsity.
Not a varsity sport.
Not a varsity sport. My dad texts again and says, impressive, albeit not athletic. So he is impressed by the meatpacking champions in Texas Tech.
You just don't understand Texas. You're from Arkansas.
Yeah, it's meatpacking's huge here. But that right there,
Meat judging,
meat judging, same thing. No. Can it ever be done again?
No.
Can 19 varsity sports make the postseason again? Is that just kind of is that a blip? Is that a random? Is that a, wow, you've done this? But that is just a feat that seems borderline impossible across collegiate athletics.
I think it's going to be very rare. So it might happen again, but I don't think it's something that we could ever really expect.
So, Year of the Bear. What do we think? Is there any way that you could put 2021, granted in the conversation, but on top of the Year of the Bear?
After that men's tennis loss, I just don't think so.
Yeah. Even with the win.
It hurts.
With a men's tennis win, can you put it over a Heisman? Can you put a men's tennis championship over a Heisman? Really?
Yes.
You would rather have...
I love RG3, and it was amazing, and it really helped put Baylor more on the map. But at the end of the day, these are teams. We care about our teams competing for national championships in sports. And when you bring home 3, you're bringing home 3 national title trophies.
Yeah.
And I love the Heisman. I think it's cool. But if soccer brought home a national title, if baseball made it to the College World Series and brought home a title, anything, I think any team title tops an individual award. That might just be my personal philosophy, but I'm sorry, the Heisman's cool, but I want those team titles.
Would you say the same thing if Baylor was to go football-wise? Say Baylor would have won the Big 12 championship, and maybe in a year they win the Big 12 title and make it to the College Football Playoff, lose round 1 of the College Football Playoff. Do you trade that for the men's tennis national championship?
Going to our first College Football Playoff, I think yes. And I hate to say that. I hate to do that to a very successful program in men's tennis, program, coach, players that are very good friends of the show. But, man, football is kind of king around here.
Tough.
I can't deny that all that much.
Revenue-wise, man. I mean, everything that comes in and that it brings in with that is it's a tough conversation to have. But also, I mean, the revenue that comes off of football, that bounces off of football, is what feeds into your tennis program and keeps your tennis program alive. All right, we're going to hit a break right here. When we come back, we'll take some calls, get in on the conversation about the Year of the Bear, 254-339-1122. We want your thoughts. What are the odds that 2021 maybe, just maybe, has a shot at being better than the Year of the Bear when this thing wraps up?
We should also get those complete full where each sport national title ranks on 1 to 10. You gave us like 4 different points on that. We should flesh that out.
We can. Coming up on the other side of the break. I like that. I'm gonna build a new metric because I only put a metric on those 4 sports in the span of about 45 seconds in the middle of that conversation. But we can build that together. I'm Drake Toll. We got Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie, Marquise Cooley, and Andrew Robertson. The first hour of SicEm365's Up Tempo is brought to you by Banson Business Services, owned by Baylor grad and SicEm365 premium member Jonathan Green. Banson Business Services offers a full suite of business support and financial services. Banson specializes in bookkeeping, payroll, outsourced CFO services, and consulting. They can even help you with your taxes. Their business helps you run your business. Visit SicEm365.com/Banson, BANCIN, for more information. This, don't go anywhere, is Up Tempo.